Hey, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching me from. Good day to you. So glad to have you on God's Girls Women on a Mission channel. About to say my own name wrong there. Women on a Mission channel. If you are just joining us for the first time, I will kindly ask you to subscribe, share, like this video, and also every other video that you're going to be watching. And as you subscribe, make sure to hit the notification button so that every time we upload a video, you get a notification that there is something new for you. Otherwise, welcome to God's Girls Women on a Mission channel, the ministry that serves to empower young ladies and women to become women that are unashamed of their past, no intimidation, no intimidated by their future, women that walk confidently in who God has called them to be, despite what life has thrown their way or along the way. Welcome to today's topic. Today's topic is specifically for you that are about to probably gone to uni already. I know some of you have already started as you're watching this. Some of you are about to go. Some of you are in your second year. This will also be beneficial to you. But we want to talk to uni students today, and you parents as well that might bump into this video and you wonder, what are our children up to whilst they're at uni? Or you might be wondering, did I advise my child the right things? What should I have told them? You might want to watch this and then give your child a call and be like, hey, I should have told you this and that and this and that. Do you know about this? Or you might just want to send them this video because you thought it's useful. Send them the link so that they can watch and learn one or two things that they need to be aware of as they start on their journey or continue their journey of university. As I promised, we had a wonderful time with Octavia when we had the session on knowing yourself, knowing you. If you've not watched it, find it in the links somewhere. You will find knowing you. We did a series about knowing God, knowing you, knowing others, and on knowing you, we spoke to Octavia, who shared with us some of her experiences at uni, some of her experiences in getting to know herself. That was impactful. If you've not watched it, go and find it. But one thing we did promise you is we would be right back, right? And we are right back with Octavia again. So we are going to be talking today about what I wish I had known going to uni. What I wish I had known going to uni. And for some of you, you're going to have some aha moments. Some of you are going to be like, thank God I know that, but we want you to join us in this conversation. We want you to comment, share your thoughts, and share with those that you know are at uni or will be going to uni soon, so that they go with full of knowledge. Wisdom is the principal thing, the good book says. So we want everyone to be full of wisdom whilst they are at uni. We don't want people to lose themselves. We don't want people to lose their identity if they'd found it already. We don't want people to get lost in the midst of uni life. This is why we are here today. So, ladies and gentlemen that might be watching this, I think this should not be on God's Girls because we want even the gentlemen to watch as well. But hey, ladies, help me to welcome Octavia back to God's Girls Women on a Mission. Octavia, how are you?
Hello, thank you. I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. Looking as lovely as ever. I'm trying to think, where did I see the picture? Either on your WhatsApp or no, it has to be on your WhatsApp because I've not been on Instagram lately. I was like, girl is looking fine.
Thank you, thank you.
You look like you've become a stylist. I mean,
Really? Well, maybe one day.
honestly, I was like, okay, I need to go and visit someone's wardrobe and get some fashion tips right there.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me back again. It's really an honor.
It's good to have you back. I mean, better late than never. We should have had you much sooner, before September, but here we are. Thank God that we are managing to do this today. And I know they say that, it's better to know something late than never. So
That's
here we are. We want to talk about university life, what
Mhm.
it's like to be at uni, especially as a lady, as a young lady. What it's like to be at uni, uh, what it's not like. Some people have these expectations or
Mm.
these things, these dreams that they're gonna be like this at uni, and reality hits is nothing like. But first of all, start us off with, what is it that people assume about university? What is it that people just have this assumption of, like, because I think a lot of parents get worried because of a lot of assumptions that they have, that, like, once my child goes to uni, that's it, I'm going to lose them forever, everything is just wildfire, everything is just like crazy. I mean,
Um,
what were some of the things that you assumed, or maybe your parents assumed, as you prepared to go to uni?
I think for me personally, my assumptions were just kind of, I was going to go to university. I was going to, at the end of it, get my degree, leave, and get a job straight away. I
Yeah.
was I would call it naive in that term. I think partly because I never really had anybody who spoke to me or who went ahead of me in family wise. I was one of the first people to go to university as well. So I didn't really have those conversations. But kind of having gone to university and having this conversation with you now, I think, and also having conversation with other people, I think, assumptions are, you are going to be in this what new world, and you're going to live your best life, and it's almost like a carefree environment. I think that's one of the assumptions. A lot of people are so eager to leave home, and to leave home and go to university. I think sometimes for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So they want to go out there, they want to be drinking, they want to be clubbing, they want to be doing all these things that they know when they're home they're not necessarily allowed to do by their parents or anything like that. So I think when it comes to assumptions, they can be, very, very varied. But I think in the generation that we are now, I think, predominantly one of the things is also about safety.
Mhm.
Especially, as a black person, we hear a lot about, young black girls going missing, whether they've just gone to university or they've just gone to work, and then they're coming back, young black boys as well, getting stabbed, getting shot, and all that kind of stuff. So I think as a parent, which I'm not, but I think as a parent, I would kind of imagine that's one of their fears.
Yeah.
And and rightfully, unfortunately, it is, a fear that they should definitely be aware of, and always be checking up, on their children and everything. But yeah, I think the main assumption is just that university is to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, that is true. And I have to add, I think one of the assumptions that I heard as well whilst I was going to uni was that, especially as a Christian, once you go, you're going to lose your salvation.
Mm,
Nobody mentioned to me that, there are actually Christian clubs there. There are actually Christian societies, Muslim societies, that will actually be active the first week of uni, trying to grab people, as many people as they can, to join their society, and get them to be on board with Christian life as soon as they get to uni. I literally found out when I got to uni that, hang on, there are actually uni students that are Christians as well.
yeah.
So why did people just think I'm going to come and lose my salvation?
Yeah, no, it's true. I think sometimes as well, I didn't even know about, like, societies or anything like that. Like you said, I just assumed, obviously, whatever city you go to, there's always going to be a church anyway. So I just assumed, yeah, I would probably have to find my way to find a church. But actually, yeah, there are those societies like you mentioned, and I think it's very valuable to have those, because at least you're with like-minded people maybe your age, people who might have gone through the same kind of journey as you, whilst you kind of going into university. But yeah, that's an assumption that I've also um heard. I think it also kind of links to what I was saying, because people think if you're going to uni, you're going to have so much fun, and fun is associated with doing the things that are not godly.
Yeah,
um,
drinking, clubbing, oh, man of dressing, which is partly true. I mean, that's what the world considers fun. And
exactly.
so almost every Christian parent to be thinking, oh, my child has never been away from home. Now they're going to be introduced to this. They're going
Mhm.
to choose that.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for that intro. You mentioned that nobody spoke to you about uni. So you're the first to go to uni during your time. I would think, what would be some of the things that as you got to uni, what were some of the first hits, like you wish you were like, oof, I wish someone has told me that. Oh, I wish I knew that. Did you have any like first punches that you just felt like, why didn't I know this?
Um, I don't think so. The only reason I say that, because I think I went into it really open-minded. And however, I think almost every day I felt like I was learning something.
Mm,
There was always something new that was a bit of a shock. For me, growing up, I wasn't allowed to obviously go out at night and things like that, and that was obviously something that was really normal, going to university or anything like that. So there wasn't anything in particular, but I what I would say is, university for me was, I felt like it was like a jungle. It's
mm,
like you just need to, it's like survivor of the fittest, right?
yeah.
You just have to maneuver yourself and find a way to survive through the temptations, through, and there's so many of them. And when you go to university, I think that, that's really the devil's opportunity to really kind of deal with children of God,
Yeah.
because you're on your own. Yes, you can call people, but then probably not as accessible as they probably were when you were at home or anything like that. And it's very important that, you allow the fear of God to guide you
Oh,
uh,
yes.
during that time. And I think the shock was just like everything was just all happening all at once. You needed to go to your lectures, and you needed to make it on time. I'm sure some people, even right up until, end of college, their parents were still waking them up, and and things like, because you're still living in their house.
Yeah.
Parent, they probably just felt it's their duty. But now you're on your own, you need to go to lectures on time, you need to buy groceries, you need to manage your money, your finances, you pay your rent on time, and all sorts of things. So I think, those kind of life skills were more of a shock for me when I went to university. And yeah, just also, I think the battle with, my faith.
Mm,
When you go to university, I think that was one of the things. I thought I was really strong in my, uh,
mm,
with
mm.
God. And you know what? I probably was. But yeah, there's a, like I said, there's a jungle, and there's a lot of temptation. There's a lot of things that you are probably going to want to explore. But like I said, just allow the fear of God to guide you. Mistakes do happen, and I will always believe that, you know you go through certain things and you learn, but don't dwell on those things. You kind of need to move on from that. So yeah, so I think for me, when going to university, the shock was just everything kind of unfolding. Things you Because I feel like, what, you leave home, you're a child, and you go to university, you immediately, you're
You're
an
an
adult.
adult.
Yeah.
You're like, overnight, I'm actually an adult.
And the world is treating you like an adult because you are
Right.
an adult under
Yeah.
the eyes of the law. You're 18 plus, when you go to uni. So yeah, so it's that preparation that I also kind of, wish I had,
Yeah.
prior to going to university. But you know what, in life, it's good, you learn some of these things as you go along, sometimes the hard way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That is true. I think one of the things that's like one of the vital things that actually hits people when they get to uni. And sooner or later you discover that you are actually at uni to
Hmm.
learn about life in itself. One of the things that I saw with many people, I was lucky enough. Now I think, I find it. I say I was lucky. I was lucky enough not to have a student loan going to uni,
Okay,
and
that's good.
so honestly, and then I didn't think so, but now I'm like, whew, no student loan, thank God. Um, but then the first week, I saw many of the people I was meeting shopping, like as in shopping.
Yeah.
And before you know it, uni has not even started. And some people are like, I'm out of money. I'm
Mm,
like, out of money. And I'm thinking, okay, £20, £30. No, I've used all my student loan. Oh, I'm like, you can't have used £1,000 in one
mhm.
week. And yes, they have. And literally people would be crying thinking, what am I going to do? Because like I said earlier, that first week of uni, especially, a lot of unis encourage people to come for the freshers week. I don't know if that's what they still call it, but the freshers week, where all the clubs are doing what they can for
Mhm.
people to have fun, to mingle with people, whatever. As much as those hidden Christian societies or Muslim societies are doing their own, but the majority are clubs,
Yeah.
nightclubs. And for most, where most unis are, they strategically place club after club, literally a line. In one line, you have loads of clubs.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some good children do get tempted, like you said, and they do want to try something new. They don't
Mhm.
want to feel left out. And I know some people who actually run away from the Christian people they were finding in order to try things that they
Mhm.
never had the opportunity to do whilst they're at home.
Yeah.
And that's how they got to spend all the money, shopping every day, and I don't know why they would have so many expensive shops at university student halls and near student accommodations. I'm like,
It's a scheme.
why? You know what I mean? But we don't know that when we're going to uni. We don't know that once our money is gone, the
It's
student loan doesn't come until maybe another term or something. And that was a shock to a lot of people. And like I
yeah.
said, you discover that you are here to learn.
Mhm.
And that's hard. Like literally, you are here to learn how to manage your schedule. You're here to learn how to manage your life. You're
Yeah.
here to learn how to manage your decisions, like who do
Mm,
you hang around with, you
that's
know.
it.
I don't know about you. Did you go to uni with people that you knew before, or was everyone around you kind of new to you?
Everybody was new to me. I didn't know anybody at all. And I was quite a really shy person, before I went to university. So I thought I was going to really struggle, making friends when I went to university. And but weirdly, when I went there, I think because again I was so open-minded, I was like, right, okay, I'm in this place now. I don't know anybody. I have to make friends. Everybody, I guess, is going to be, the same age as me. So I guess we can find relatable kind of conversations to have. So yeah, I didn't know anybody, but I made quite a lot of friends. And I feel like at university, you do really make a lot of friends. And, some of those are literally like kind of your lifetime friends as well. You sometimes end up losing the friends that you maybe even grew up with. And those, from uni become your closest friends. And it's important to kind of choose them wisely.
Yeah.
Because whilst at university, everybody can be your friend. Like I was just friends with everybody. I hang out with everybody because I was just there. I was always just smiling and bubbly. So nobody had anything bad to kind of say about me. So people like to be around me. But actually, I finished uni, I kind of had to make that decision of who's going to make that cut. You know,
Hmm.
who's staying with me for the long term, and who do I, cut off, whether it's gradually cutting them off or, because there's a time in the season, being at university was a season in my life. And in
Yeah.
that time, maybe, other people's seasons as well were over in my life. So, and that's just, I guess, the way life is anyway. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but it was good.
So, having dealt with, if you have peer pressure, maybe from primary school, okay, let's leave primary school, maybe high school
Mhm.
into, A levels. Did you deal with peer pressure at university, or university doesn't have peer pressure?
Peer pressure at not a university, at college or school is not peer pressure to me. Peer pressure in uni is peer pressure. That is the definition of peer pressure. Oh my good Lord. Because again, like, because you are on your own,
Yeah.
you don't want to feel left out. So you're
Mm,
more inclined to go with the majority. So if the majority say we're going out, we're going clubbing, that's what we're doing. If we're going drinking, that's what we're doing. We're house partying, that's what we're doing. And, you will find yourself in those compromising, kind of situations. And it happens. And sometimes it's probably, it happens, you watch and you're like, oh, this is really not for me. And then you'll have other people like, you know what, I kind of like this. And then people, you kind of get deviated from, I guess, the goal and the purpose of also who you are, at times. So, but yeah, so I think being at university is very, I don't even know, like the peer pressure was just real.
it's on another level.
Because you'll have like a friend come back and they'll be like, oh, I had the best time, we did this, we did that, and they're telling you the stories, and I was like, I want to experience that. You're thinking that, like, okay, next time let's go together. And then you end up going together. And you know because I think it's just because the majority are doing something, you don't want to
Yeah,
feel left out. And
yeah,
one of the things about human beings is we don't want to feel disconnected. It's part of life. And therefore, if we feel disconnected, we don't feel like we are being, I suppose, our whole self. So we then go and with different people, or people that we would probably never really associate ourselves with. But yeah, no,
hmm,
there is a lot of peer pressure at university. And which is why I call it a jungle, firstly. And then the second thing about what I was saying, that that is the time the enemy really really what will challenge you. And that pressure will come because they'll be like, oh, you can't be sitting at home on your own,
hmm,
your Bible, for example, something like that. Go out, have fun. Everybody else is having fun. Why would you want to sit at home, on a Friday or on a Saturday? Why would you do that? Or everybody else has a boyfriend or has somebody or whatever. Why would it might not even necessarily be boyfriend, but so like a somebody.
yeah.
There's this thing on Twitter called ACS Confessions. I think it's one of the craziest things I've ever just read on Twitter, right? So basically, what it is, it's like they ACS, which is the African Caribbean Society, right? Yeah, Caribbean Society at university. So it's pretty much predominantly like Black people,
Yeah.
Caribbean. So what they basically do is like they anonymously send these like confessions of the things that they've done or the things that are going on. And they never, it's not a confession of, oh, I aced my my class or whatever. No, 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 it's always very sexual, it's always very, it's crazy, like
Yeah.
crazy confessions. And I
Yeah.
think to myself, my goodness, is this what's going on at
Wow.
university? Like, I know there was peer pressure and I know there was a pressure when I was at uni, but I don't know if it was to that level. People almost normalize it now, especially when it comes to like the sexual side of things.
Mm,
Everybody wants to have somebody, or oh, I have a crush on this person or this. And then those thoughts transpire into, oh, we're going to hang out. Oh, then eventually you're sleeping with that person,
yeah.
you're in this crazy bubble with this person. And I think to myself, first of all, guys, do you not fear God? Secondly, do you not fear diseases? Like, or anything like that? Because there's like some of the confessions, honestly, no, so they're crazy. Like, they'll be like, oh, I slept with my boyfriend, and then his best friend also liked me, so I then slept with him. Da, da, da.
Wow.
really
Wow.
insane things, and I was like, hey, okay.
Yeah.
The levels yeah, it's
And it is that crazy, you know. I remember when I went to uni, the only person I knew was someone that enjoyed clubbing, you know. Anyway, she wasn't saved, so she can be about that life.
yeah.
So I was like, okay, my first day, I'm on my own. Second day, and then she got in touch saying, if you want to see me, I'm going clubbing tonight. You can come. It's near where you're staying. Come over. Let's mingle.
Hmm.
And there was me, you know, wore my nice jeans, nice top. I went in the club, and the first minute I walked in, obviously felt out of place. You're the
Yeah.
only one that's covered, you know.
Yeah.
And then second, the music, you don't know any of it. Because, you know, guys, I was saved from about 12 years old, you know, going forward. I was just, all I knew was just Christian music. I wasn't keeping up with, you know, Beyonce or blah, blah, blah. So going in, the songs, everybody's moving one direction. They know what's happening. I'm like, and I'm just there standing. And then someone actually said, what are you doing here? You don't. I said, I'm looking for my friend. That's how bad it was. Someone was literally like, you don't look like you know what you're doing. I was like, yeah, I'm looking for my friends. But then the crazy thing happened that her and a bunch of friends said, you know what, you live closer to us. Can we come and crash at yours?
Yeah.
Just finish our drinking and then we'll leave. Lo and behold, obviously, there were guys, you know, some girls, and they were drinking. And when everyone was going, one guy didn't want to go. Everybody left, and they left me in the house with that guy. And
Oh.
I was not prepared to with information on how to deal with guys. You know,
Mm.
the only guys I'd known were my brothers, were my friends. And now I need to deal with a grown man.
Mhm.
And the guy was like, I ain't going nowhere. The guy actually took off his clothes to want to sleep on my bed. And you know how uni is like, you know, you literally have a four corner, you
Yeah.
have like the space is like this. I was like, what do I do? I had to run and get my guard. Thank God I lived at a student accommodation where we have guards, you know.
Mhm.
I didn't live in a shared house or whatever. It was a student accommodation. So we always have guards 24 hours. I had to
Yeah.
run and be like, there's a guy that doesn't want to leave my house. And he's naked. Please go and get him out. That's how he left my house. But it's one of those things that, especially as young ladies, as you know, especially from African backgrounds, you know, even some that are not African backgrounds but Christians, we don't talk about a lot of things.
Yeah.
We don't have our parents sitting us down and saying, now you are of age, this is how you speak to a guy, this is how you respond to a guy, this is how you communicate with guys. Guys are not, and not every guy is your brother.
Yeah.
You know, not every guy is your uncle. Not every guy wants to just hug you. Some
Mm.
people actually want to sleep with you. You know,
Mhm.
can you talk to us a little bit about, you know, some of your encounters with the opposite sex? Were you prepared to like handle the conversation with the opposite sex, or you literally had to learn on the job?
I had to learn on the job, that I had zero preparation. I had never dated or even had like a boyfriend, growing up, like even at school, even just for like, people used to joke around, and I never really had that. But obviously there were times you'd be like, oh, I have a crush on this person, da da da, but then it just never transpired into anything. um but when you kind of, I suppose, go to university, it's very different, because you can meet crazy people who don't want to leave
Yeah.
your accommodation. And also, it depends on, I feel like it also depends on the influence that you're under. So what I mean by that is, if you have been drinking, as somebody who has drunk before, or and been, your mind is works differently.
Hmm.
You allow things that you would never allow when you are sober.
Yeah.
So you also need to just make sure, as hard as it is in this generation, I know a lot of people, drink. Young people that started drinking at like even 16, 15, 16. And, I had never touched alcohol right until I was like 18, right? And the
Yeah.
only reason was like my sister was like, you know what, you're going to university, you're probably going to try this. Let's drink together. You need to know your limits.
Mm.
You don't want to be in a compromising
Wow.
situation. So I need you to know your limits, because I'm not going to stay here and say, don't drink as much as I don't want you to. But at the same time, there's probably going to be that temptation.
Wow.
And kind of dealing with guys, nobody, I don't think anybody really prepares you for that. But unfortunately, the world that we live in, the world prepares you for that, but in a negative
In a
way.
harsh way. Yeah. Yeah.
We see social media, these influencers, for example, they talk about their relationships. I think the last time we spoke, I told you about how I completely removed all kind of wedding related things on my Instagram, because of, those things really kind of play with your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And the same way, young people will see, their friends in relationships, or, goals, couple goals, glow up with us. There's all different types of things. So it gives you an illusion that you also need somebody, but you don't, I suppose, do the appropriate checks, if that,
Mm.
I'd
Yeah.
call it that, to see, is this person actually what I want, and is this person right for me, or is it just a situation whereby it's just vibes kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
The one thing I really, really remember, which stuck to me, Pastor JD said to me before I went to university, be careful of men, because men lie.
Mm.
Stuck with me even right up until today. I will never forget that, because that was, I think, I don't even think he, or maybe he did give me other advice, but that is the one thing that really stuck with me. And one of my Zimbabwean friends, I used to joke about with her, and I'll be like, about so men lie, da, 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 and stuff like that. And we would laugh about it until the reality
It
kicked in
is.
of,
Mm.
they will lie to you just to get into your pants. They will, sweet talk you. They will buy you flowers. They will buy you a drink. They will take you out. They will even take you and your friends out.
Mm. Your whole clan.
And they'll be, and now people feel like, just because you bought me flowers, because you've taken me out, I must return a favor. But
Mm.
no, because it was his choice to do that. It was his choice to take you out, to give you flowers or whatever that might have been. So yeah, ladies, men do lie. Especially when they have a motive that they are, trying to achieve. They will
Yeah.
lie to you, because the truth is not going to do them, any justice. Because if a guy comes up to you and just says, oh, I want to sleep with you, you obviously gonna be like, no. That's wait, like, but they have to worm their way in,
Yeah.
to get to you, whether it's through actual lying and, saying words, or in a manipulative way, to
Yeah.
get you to the place where they want you to be. And I don't even know if now I've learned, I feel like I keep learning as I grow older, how to handle, men, like when they come and have conversations with me. How do you kind of, even like just simple flirting, can I flirt back, and
Mm-hmm.
all those kind of things. And yeah, whilst at university, like a lot of guys will come and want to talk to you, especially being African, right? African girls, you've got ass, you got boobs, you've got all these
The whole
things.
package.
You know,
And
so
it's very visible.
it's not your fault, it's just how you're created. But and the, like, people will be like, oh, looking at you in a very sexualized way,
Yeah.
compliment you in a very sexualized way, and those things will play on your mind, play on your
Because
emotions.
it's tempting. It's very tempting. I mean, like, it gives you these kind of feelings that you never had before, and
Yep.
your hormones start playing up all over again. Like, I've never felt like this, especially if you're someone that has been in church all your life. Everybody has been a brother, brotherly hug, brotherly looks and everything. All of a sudden someone is actually looking at you in a way that says, I want you. And
Mm,
you get this, shyness, that's blushing kind of, way that makes you want to be like, okay, let me see what he's going to do. And if
mm,
you're not careful, you put yourself in danger. And I
yeah.
think that is something that even some men, they specifically target some girls that they know they're from a good background. And when I say good background, I mean like they're still innocent,
Mm-hmm.
and they will try to see how far you can go, how far you can stand your ground,
Yeah.
how far they can actually, they can take you, just to prove that they can break you,
Mm,
or that you can break your standards, or you can whatever, which is a nasty thing. But then people do that. It's a sinful world out there, and that is something that sometimes girls are not prepared for.
no.
Christian girls are not prepared for.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And again, those conversations are not had even like, at church. I don't ever really remember, being a youth and having those conversations, real conversations, maybe from people that have already gone to university
Yeah,
before us, or even, from leaders or anything like that. And I wish that for the church, that let's be real and let's be really honest, because these things are happening, and they're happening to our brothers, our sisters, our children,
yeah,
right there. Let's call a spade a spade, like you mentioned. If somebody could really sit you down and be like, what, men do this and that, you have this, so be careful of that. And sometimes maybe you don't necessarily want to hear it from your mom or your youth leader, but I think I don't know how, but that conversation needs
yeah,
to be had prior to, because your university years are literally going to make or break you.
yeah.
And
Even
they're going
from
to,
some guys, I had to throw that in. There are some guys that have been taken in by some strong girls. Like, there are some girls that are hunters, and they will break you. Like, you were a nice brother, nice, innocent, your parents taught you well,
Mhm.
you respect girls and women, and someone just innocently takes you, and then you think you're in love, and before you know it, the girl just says, hey, nah, I'm not in
Yeah.
love with you. Before you know it, broken heart. And before you
Oh,
know it, you want to break every other girl you meet
just
after
hard.
that.
Mhm. It's a cycle. It really is a cycle, and it's a shame, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What would you say, when what after you finish uni, you sat down? Did you say to yourself, "Wow, I'm a better person because I went to uni," or I don't even recognize who I am in a bad way?
So I wouldn't say either or, and the only
Yeah.
reason is because I believe that, everything that I go through is supposed to shape who I am today.
Yeah.
Whether it's, a conscious decision or a decision that I didn't consciously make.
Yeah.
Um, but there were definitely questionable things that I did at university where I'm like, girl, girl, like, okay. Um, but at the same time, I think to myself, if I had not gone through that, or if I had not done that, one, I don't think I would have the inside knowledge that I have now. And secondly, you can't be doing certain things, after university, for example, like even, trying to, for example, like if you want to start drinking or whatever. I feel like, when it comes to us, or getting drunk, right? I'll be honest, I've been drunk before, like at university and stuff like that. And there just comes a point where after university you can't be doing, things like that. You can't be moving recklessly the way you were at university, because people will look at you like, okay, that phase is kind of done and it's over. What are you still kind of doing?
Mm-hmm.
Doing that. And the reality, to be honest, is once you finish university, reality really hits you.
Mm.
Whilst at university, there's a lot of things I wish I took advantage of. There's so many opportunities at university, and I really want to stress that, that when if you are at university and or you are planning on going to university, really take the opportunities that are there at uni. So I always wanted to go, a year abroad to like a different country. I never got to do it in the end, partly because of some of my fears. But things like that, opportunities that are there, even like business opportunities as well.
Yeah.
My university, we used to have like a grant funding for people who wanted to, like, start a business whilst at university. But again, I guess these are things you don't really necessarily know until you kind of go to uni. You somehow maybe stumble upon them, but they're not like visibly out there. So yeah, so things like that, you can get a grant funding. I don't know if they still do it now. Maybe in this cost of living, probably not.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a lot of other opportunities that you should definitely take. Even for me, like when I was at uni, I got a part-time job, and my part-time job was at uni. I worked at uni. I was getting paid so well for a university student.
Wow.
I was a student ambassador, and back in those days, it was like something like £9 an hour, and then open days was like 11, £12 an hour for somebody who's like 18,
That
19.
is good. Yeah.
Really good. Like, and the things I managed to then do with that money at the time, it really helped me. But at the same time, some people will get that money and they'll be like, oh, money, spend, spend, spend. But actually, you kind of need to think about, okay, what do I need to do for my future? As much as it's fun, and I do say definitely have fun whilst you're at university, but whilst you're having fun, don't forget, one, why you went there, and two,
Mm, don't let it cost you. Don't let the fun cost you.
exactly. And even the money management thing goes back to the things that we're talking about, things that you never knew or wish you were told. With all that money, luckily for me, I did my driving, I did it in silence, passed my test, and everything was great. But even bought my first car with that money. But other
No.
people, like I said, who just, take that, go out clubbing, do this, do that, and stuff like that. Even, things like your credit score, and because some people, some people took out loans, like you mentioned, the first week or whatever, they spend £1,000, gone, done and dusted.
Just like that. Mm-hmm.
Banks will offer an 18-year-old, 19-year-old 2,000, 3,000, £4,000 for what?
Yeah.
They do, and people, young people, because they're in a desperate situation. I feel like, especially if you're kind of from an African background, how do you go and explain that to your mom or your dad? I've spent £1,000 off my student finance, it's gone, and now you're like, I need to survive the rest of the term, which might be 3 months.
Yeah.
And you go to the bank, and the bank offers you, but you then get to a position of maybe you can't pay it back, and then
Mm.
school and all these things that really then affect your kind of life after university. And even like on the job market as well, nobody really prepares you to think about, whilst you're at university, it's all about the degree, your assignments and everything, which is, I guess, essentially kind of what you're there for at university. But I think as a young person, it's important that there's also some kind of teaching around life management.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very, very important that young people have that, because, like I said, once you finish uni, that life just hits you. It hits you hard. And if you're not prepared for it, it can really crush you, because you feel like, you've had the best time, you've tried your best to get a good degree, but out of it, I don't have a job, nothing
Mm.
sense, and that kind of thing. So, Yeah, I think I deviated from the
No.
question a little bit. Sorry.
No, you said some really, really important and useful things that I think every parent should pass on and tell their children. And those that have been to uni as well, if you're a big sister or big brother, sit down with your younger ones. Don't let them be like, oh, they'll face life, they will experience it themselves. No, I'm one that believes that I can avoid what someone has gone through just by
Yeah.
leaning on and leaning into their life. So I think it's very vital what you've said. And I think one thing that I want to add as well is how important it is to build relations even with lecturers, because lecturers know the serious students and they give them opportunities. They
Mm.
literally give them opportunities, go even job opportunities when you finish your degree. Because one of the things that we don't realize, and I realized this after towards my end of year, that they're connected, especially like if you're studying law or medicine and things like that. They're connected to law firms,
Yeah.
they're connected to medical doctors, they're connected to, if you're doing food and technology, whatever, they're connected to bakeries or chefs and things like that. So they will give opportunities to serious students, the students they saw studying, the students they interacted with, the student that they didn't see going about, coming to lectures late, leaving early, and not even taking any notes, doing, not even giving in assignments. Everything will hit you one day when you're now getting the degree, and maybe you've got, like, you maybe fail and you have to do another year, or maybe you get a third and now you want to apply for a job, but someone has got a first class and you
Mm.
have a third. And then someone is now talking about their relation with the lecturers or the experiences they got. I was a student ambassador, I was doing this in the library, I was. And what do you have? You had fun.
Yeah. Fun
You
vibes.
went clubbing every day, you went shopping, you made lots of friends. So I
Mm.
think there's that thing of many people, by the time it hits them, it's too late. There is so much you can do in your third year. You can't try to build those relations in the third year, or try to be like a good student in the third year. It's a bit too late.
Mm.
Third year kind of affirms who you have been at uni.
Yeah.
It just makes, it rounds it all up, like this is who you are. The lecturers say this is who you are, the
Yeah.
friends, the people you've met say this is who you are. So I think that first year is vital. Like if you're going to uni and this is your first year, this is the year to actually decide, who do I want to be? Do I
Yeah.
want to be the person that I am? I have discovered that I am someone who wants to do well in life, someone who, having fun doesn't mean going clubbing, doesn't have to mean going clubbing, it doesn't have to mean going drinking, it doesn't have to mean hanging out with men, with boys, or whatever. You can make good friends with males and have good friendships. You
Mhm.
don't have to be, every guy you meet doesn't have to be, does he like me, does he not like me, what.
Mm.
Just have good friendships.
Yeah.
you know People that can become your colleagues in the future, they can become you real mates in the future, not someone that you can sleep with today and you're going to avoid for the rest of your life.
It's really awkward at university as well. Um, for example, whether you choose to go the route of, what, I'm going to stay the way I am, I'm a Christian girl, this is how I've been brought up. Or if you decide to go the other route and say, I'm really going to explore, I'm going to try it out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I feel like there'll be consequences, because either way, in the sense that, for example, if you decide that you're going to be a Christian girl or whatever, people might look at you a bit like, oh, this, we don't want to hang around with this person. But I feel like the level there, I don't know, I never experienced bullying at uni, but I don't think it's quite kind of bullying. When at uni, it's kind of just, I guess, segregation. Like you mentioned, you went into the club and somebody was like, what are you doing here? That kind of thing. And it should be, those kind of conversations when people see you in the wrong environment, they're like,
Yeah.
what are you kind of doing? I thought you were this person, that kind of thing. So either way, people are gonna either talk about you, because if you're always out clubbing, you want to be the person that everybody likes, whatever, people are going to talk about you, and that can have negative things come along with that. But also, if you go to, if you stay humble, you're a church girl, quote unquote, you know there's really less things that people can really say, but they don't want to hang around with you, maybe just because it's not the kind of vibe. But actually, you're funnily, it'll be you that they everybody wants to come to towards exams time or anything like that, because they'll be
Yeah,
like, oh, I'm sure she's
yeah.
been studying, she's been doing this, she's been doing that, and everybody now all of a sudden wants to be your friend.
Wants to be with him. That's true.
And
That's true. And this is like your opportunity to be like the light. Like if you've been the light in your church, when you're in church, you're not really a light because you're in the midst of light. So
mm,
nobody can really see, whether you're good or not. But then when you're actually in the midst of darkness, that's your opportunity to show that you are a light. And
yeah,
some people, I remember some people actually coming back to Christ because I stood my ground, and they thought like, wow, we've never seen someone who comes to uni and just remains a Christian. You don't have to lose your salvation because you're at uni. You don't have to lose your virginity because you're at uni. You don't have to lose your head or lose your life. Some people have lost their life because they went drinking and the car had an accident or whatever. You don't have to lose your virtue or your value because you're at uni. This is actually an opportunity to enhance it.
yeah,
You enhance who your parents have been making you to be or your background so far. You enhance that. You've got an opportunity to enhance that and be the difference, the person that actually lecturers can speak to,
yeah,
rather than not as the person they'll be thinking, why are you even here? But
mm,
be the person that people can actually say, if there was a company that's coming looking for the next person to hire, lecturers can say, you know what, take this student, take that, we
mm,
trust that student. And nobody tells us that when you're at uni.
no,
People just expect us to go and lose our salvation, but
mm,
nobody actually says, you know what, you can remain, you can be more than, you can know yourself more
yeah,
than, you have known yourself all this time under your parents' roof, but this is the time to actually know your do's and don'ts in a good way,
hmm,
without having to do all the rubbish stuff.
yeah.
And I wish people could speak more about that you can have a great time at uni without losing your head. And
No, absolutely. You're definitely right. And it's really difficult, I guess, for Christians, especially, trying to maneuver yourself in an environment where there's a lot going on. But yeah, stay true to who you are, and you never do those things. I feel like when you then go to university, that's really when, like you said, you need to be the light, because when you're before you go to university, you're under your parents' roof. You almost have this like their fear of, oh, I can't do that, I can't come home late, I can't go drinking, because if I come home this, I can't do that, I can't do that. But now it's almost like there's no boundaries, there's
yep,
no you have to set your own boundaries, and nobody can should be able to cross those boundaries. So yeah, but
yeah. And then one thing that's just coming to my mind is just saying that is, to be an adult is to be someone with boundaries. Being an
mm,
adult is to be someone who's controlled, self-controlled. So when you're actually doing all the crazy stuff, you're actually proving you're still a child. That you
yeah,
don't have self-control, you don't have time management, you don't have, money management. So technically speaking, whatever craziness you might do shows more childish nature than
yeah,
adulthood. So when you now want to argue that you're an adult, you're not, because you should have you should be managing yourself, and you're not. So adults manage their life. Literally, they have their life in order. Um, let's end with apprenticeship versus university. I know now we're in an era whereby a lot of parents are hearing more about apprentice, and they are kind of using it as a way to deter their children from going to university
oh,
because of all the scary stuff they hear about university. So if my child does apprenticeship, they can stay at home and still be, getting their degree or their qualification, as
mm.
opposed to going off to uni miles away and not being able to see and hear what they're doing. What are your thoughts on that?
Whew. So the way you've kind of put it, for me, I'm like, I don't know if that's a safe thing for parents to do in a way, because regardless, at some point, I feel like life is still going to hit that person. But at the same time, because of their fears and everything else that goes on at university and in the world, um, yeah, I guess. I think the reason why I say this is because I feel like, going to university really honestly did shape who I am,
Yeah.
because I'm in that, environment where I really need to know who I am in that time and for the future. However, when we talk about, apprenticeships and university, equally, to be honest, are perfectly fine. But I feel like it has to be the child's choice. Sorry, parents. So I feel like it has to be their choice, because if you kind of force them into something, they might not do it wholeheartedly, or
Mhm.
if they do, they end up saying, "This is for you." I didn't want to do this, that kind of thing, and it can maybe cause resentment as well. Um, but when we talk about, the world that we live in and kind of the world of work, either option, sometimes I even think apprenticeships are better, because with an apprenticeship you get that experience. I know
Yeah.
there are some, degrees that you can have like a year in industry, but it's sometimes also very hard to get those jobs, because you have to find the job yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas with an apprenticeship, it's almost kind of, it's all managed for you. It's kind of like a natural flow. So if we talk about it in terms of career prospects and moving on, I feel like either way, in my company, we have university, we have grads, we have apprentice. So there's always opportunities. And because it is becoming more and more of a thing, because actually, whilst they might be a little bit younger, when you kind of do an apprenticeship and you start working, you might start working when you're 18, as opposed to, 21, 22 when you graduate. But actually, you've already built up the skills, that would prepare you. So in that context, it either or is fine. But it's got to be a choice of yours, because I don't believe in forcing somebody or
Yeah.
manipulating somebody to do something because of your fears, because you don't know, you might be scared, but actually that person might go to university and do amazing things.
Yeah.
Even though the world is as scary as it is, but regardless of what it is that we do, the world will remain scary. It will always remain, a nasty world. Because even if the child is still at home, they might still meet somebody, at college or whatever, and now they're lying. Oh yeah, no, they said we're going on a trip. Actually, no, you're not going on a trip. You're going to just
True.
house at a hotel or whatever. Whereas at uni, the difference is you don't have to ask for permission, or you don't have to almost explain yourself.
Yeah.
But effectively, it's kind of the same thing. So it's got to be, a very conscious decision. And just, I think, just we need to just pray for for the young people, that as they go to university, that they gain wisdom, and not only that, but they remain who they are,
Yeah.
in Christ especially. And you will have things maybe that will challenge you, sometimes you will fall, and it's important to have somebody maybe who you can be accountable to, who will have a very honest conversation. You say, what, I did end up sleeping with that guy. I I wasn't expecting it, or whatever. And having somebody advise you, not judge you, or not, condemn you for doing that, because you know it's, things happen. At the end of the day, they do happen, but we just need, as the people that have maybe gone ahead of them, or leaders, in Christ and things like that. If we can really open ourselves, God says, come as you are. if that is how they are coming to you, and if this is how they've lived, then or allow them to come just
Yeah.
the way they are and help them to be the better person that they maybe should be.
Wow, thank you so much for that. And thank you once again for honoring our invite and coming to our broadcast. You shared some very, very impactful things that are very necessary. And I think one thing I would say, I would stress what you just said, that accountability, if you're at uni or planning to go to uni next year, or you're in your second or third year, you know what? Become accountable to somebody that is older than you. Be speaking to someone that is more mature than you. Because one of the things that happens is there are so many people that target students
Mm,
because you are vulnerable, you are excited, you are just open to anything. Even people that come in the name of Jesus or come in the name of God, they come just try coming to just literally aiming to destroy you. I cannot even begin to talk about the things that are happening in the name of God that have destroyed
yeah,
many people, that have made people end up in prison, all in the name of Jesus. So you're vulnerable. You're open to anything, you're excited. And those three things can be used against you. So make
yeah,
sure you're accountable to somebody. Don't shy away from adults. You might be shying away from your parents. You don't want them to know what you're up to, what you're doing, who's in your circle. But let somebody that you can freely speak to,
mhm,
know what you're up to, because people have gone missing
yeah,
whilst at uni. People have gone missing whilst at uni, and nobody knew where to start looking because that person shut themselves out of everybody because of trying to have freedom.
hmm,
Uni is not the time to have freedom, to stay away from people or have people not know your business. Part
yeah,
of being an adult is you having people know what you're up to,
yeah,
you having people know what you're doing. That's adulthood. Being accountable is adulthood. As a wife, as a married person, I'm accountable. I don't just do what I want.
yeah,
Even when before I was married, as an adult, I was accountable.
hmm,
Because if life, something happens, those people that you're trying to run away from will be the only people that care enough to look for you.
yeah,
So give your, if not your parents, give your someone that you respect that honor of being an accountable, give accountable, be accountable to them. I lost my thought, my thoughts there. But thank you so much, Octavia, for sharing your experience and some of your wisdom to us. I really wish we would do like we'll go around in like all the churches that we know, sit down with the uni student. I think that's something I should actually plan and be like, hey, this is what you need to know, this is
yeah.
what you should do. But God will help us. God will help us.
Amen.
We still have time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to this series. If you haven't subscribed, do so. If you haven't shared, liked, do so, so that you will not miss out on any more of our broadcasts. Thank you so much for tuning in. God's girls, women on a mission. God bless.